In this lesson, we will be discussing how to multiply polynomials. But before we get started, we're going to do these 3 review questions. So pause the video, see which ones you can do, and then go ahead and then we'll go over these 3 questions. And here we go. So for the first one, this is just x times x to the third. Then review, guys, here that these exponents, when you're multiplying, you're always taking the exponents and you are ending up adding them together. So the exponents end up being added together when multiplying. So if I have x times x to the third, I now have x to the fourth here. And again, that is x to the first power, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Now here, you're just multiplying the 2 monomials. So I've got 3 times 7. So 3 times 7 is 21. And x squared times x squared. Well, that is now x to the fourth power. 2 plus 2, giving you that 4. Then y. So here you've got y squared times another y. So that is now y, but to the third power, because that again has an exponent of 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3. Then number 3, this is actually a review on, see how we're multiplying 2 binomials? This is box method. 2x minus 3 times 5x minus 4. Or, for some of you who don't use the area model, this is your FOIL, where you do front, outer, inner, and last. Same thing. So here we go. 2x times 5x, 10x squared. Then here I've got negative 15x. So now here on the bottom row, I've got negative 8x. Negative times a negative is a positive 12. Then notice how we do have like terms here to combine. Negative 15 minus 8, negative 23x. So you've got 10x squared minus 23x, but plus 12. So here, again, this is just a review on distributing, where we're going to, again, multiply or apply the property of the exponent where we're adding them. So I've got 4y squared, but times y squared. Well, that now gives me 4, but now y to the fourth power. 2 plus 2, add the exponents when multiplying. Then here we're distributing 4y squared, but now times 3. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and then just bring down that y squared. So go ahead, pause the video, and try this try on your own, just like the one that we just did here. And here we go. So here I've got 3d squared times 4d, giving me now 12 d to the third power. That's 2 plus 1 more. And here I've got 3d squared times negative 6, negative 18, then bring down the d squared. Then the last here, 3d squared, but times 14d squared. Well, 3 times 14 is 42. Then d to the fourth power, because again, you had squared and squared. 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, make sure, though, to write your final answer in standard form. See how our exponents, the degree, needs to be decreasing. So 42d to the fourth power plus 12d cubed minus 18d squared. So that is your final answer in standard form. Now, just because what we did in the front, is it going to change now, like in this example where the FG here that we're multiplying is in the back? No, I'm going to still go ahead and multiply. Notice how they both have an exponent of 1. Now make sure that they are the same variable when you are multiplying. So here we've got FG times F to the fourth. So that becomes now F to the fifth power. And then there was no G with this first term here, so keep it at G. Then let's multiply to the next. I've got FG times 2, then F to the third power times G. So I now have 2, but f to the third plus the other 1, now f to the fourth. And we do have 1 g now, so g plus and another g, making that g squared. G times g squared. Now let's go to the next. Here, fg times negative 3, f to the third g squared. Negative 3 still, f to the third again, times f to the fourth, 3 plus 1. Then g squared times g cubed. Add the exponent. Then our last here, I've got fg times fg cubed. Well, f times f is f squared. G to the third times g to the fourth power. So go ahead, pause the video and try this try on your own. Let's see what you get. And here we go. So notice how here, so you're going to now multiply x squared times y, but notice how none of these actually have an x term. So no matter what, even though I'm multiplying x squared, I need to have x squared in my answer. So here we go, x squared y times 6y cubed is 6x squared, but now y to the fourth. 3 and 1, making your 4. Then the next, x squared times x squared y times y squared. So again, x squared, but now y squared times y cubed. Then the next term, x squared y times negative 28y. Negative 28, no x term, so x squared, but y times y squared. Then notice how the 30 here is by itself, so that's just 30 times x squared y. Now, notice with example 3 here, a little different, because you have 2 terms being multiplied to the 3. So there are different ways, and you'll see on the notes, there are different ways that you can multiply, but for the video, I'm just going to focus on the box method. See how we have 3 terms here, though? That means I need 3 by 2, because I have 1, 2, 3 terms here. When I set up my box, I'm going to set it up as a 3 by 2. Then I'm going to go ahead now and fill in my information. So using standard form, so I need to put my y squared term first. So negative 4y squared, then plus 2y minus 5. So then here, standard form, make sure variable first. So y and positive 3. Now we're multiplying just as if we were doing our box method with our 2 by 2. Negative 4y squared times y, negative 4y cubed. 2y times y, 2y squared. Negative 5 times y, negative 5y. Now the bottom, negative 4y squared times 3, negative 12y squared. 2y times 3, 6y. Negative 5 times 3, negative 15. Now notice we have multiple like terms. See here, we have 6y minus 5y, which is now just 1y here. We also have y squared. We have negative 12y squared plus 2y squared, negative 10y squared. So our final answer is negative 4y squared minus, minus 10y squared plus y minus 15. So go ahead and pause the video and try this try on your own. And here we go. So again, see how you have 3 terms and 2 terms. So I'm going to set this up here again as 3 terms and 2 terms. So standard form, negative 2c squared minus c plus 3. That is a positive 3. Then here, remember, right, variable first. So negative 2c plus 3. Now we can fill in the information. Negative times a negative, positive 4c squared times c cubed now, because that has an exponent of 1. Negative times a negative, positive, but c times c squared. Then 3 times negative 2c, negative 6c. Now the bottom, 3 times negative 2c squared, negative 6c squared. 3 times negative c, negative 3c, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now, like terms, you have two c terms here, negative 3 minus 6, negative 9c. Then here, c squared, you've got negative 6 plus 2, negative 4c squared. Now you can write your final answer. You have 4c cubed minus 4c squared minus 9c plus 9. So the last is, what if we had function notation? Just like before, see how we have the dot here? The dot represents multiplication. So we are multiplying f of x times g of x. Well, notice how they are both 3 terms. So that means here, when we set up our box, we now need a 3 by 3. So 3 and 3 here. So now I'm going to fill in my f of x, again, standard form. So 3x squared minus 2x plus 4. Then same thing here, standard form. 4x squared plus x plus 5. Now we can fill in our information. 3x squared times 4x squared, well, that's 12, but x squared times x squared is now x to the 4th. Negative 2x times 4x squared, negative 8x cubed. Then 4 times 4x squared, 16, and x squared. Now the next row, 3x squared times x, 3, now x cubed, because remember that has an exponent of 1. Negative 2x times x, negative 2x squared. 4 times x, 4x. Last row here, 3x squared times 5, 15x squared. Negative 2x times 5, negative 10x. Then 4 times 5 is 20. Now combining like terms. Here I see two x terms. Negative 10x plus 4x, negative 6x. I also have these x squared terms here. We have 15 minus 2, which is 13. 13 plus 16 is 29. So 29x squared. Then we also have x cubed. I have negative 8 plus 3, negative 5x cubed. So final answer, 12x to the 4th, but now minus 5x cubed plus 29x squared minus 6x plus 20. So notice here too, guys, even with the function notation, it's all the same. So go ahead and pause the video and try this. You try on your own. And here we go. Notice how you do, again, have a 3 by 3. So I'm going to set it up, 3 by 3. Then I've got h of x, standard form, x squared plus 5x minus 2. And then g of x, which again, standard form, x squared minus 4x plus 1. Now, inside, x squared times x squared, x to the 4th. 5x times x squared, 5x cubed. Then negative 2 times x squared, negative 2x squared. Next row, x squared times negative 4x, negative 4x cubed. 5x times negative 4x, negative 20x squared. Negative 2 times negative 4x, positive 8x. Last row here, x squared times 1 is x squared. 5x times 1, 5x, and negative 2 times 1, negative 2. Combining the like terms. Here you have the x terms, 5x plus 8x, 13x. Then next, you have these x squared terms. So that's 1x squared here, right? So negative 20 plus negative 2, negative 22. But plus 1 is negative 21, x squared. Then we have our x cubed. That is 5 minus 4, which is 1. So just x cubed. Final answer, you have x to the 4th plus x cubed minus 21x squared plus 13x minus 2. So we had a couple of typos here. Sorry about that on this example, if you saw it in the notes. It shouldn't say find the area. We're finding the volume. And then again, so we're finding the volume. So we're focusing on volume. So remember, guys, volume of a box or rectangular prism is length times width times height, where we multiply all of our dimensions. So here we've got our standard box. So I'm going to just go ahead and draw the standard. So we have that visual of p feet by 3p feet by 4p feet. But then we have the large. So now we have the large. So let me go ahead and redraw, but I'll make a large here, burly box. And we have added 1.5 feet to each dimension. So now what was P is now P plus 1.5. Then the second is not 3P, now it's 3P plus 1.5. Then here, 4P, but now plus 1.5 because we added 1.5 to each dimension. Now we are writing the polynomial V of P, so this is our volume, in standard form that represents the volume of the large. So we don't need the standard anymore. We just need to focus on the large. So let's take 2 dimensions at a time. So here I've got multiplying a 2 by 2. Well, that's just box method. So here I'm going to set up my box, and we're multiplying P plus 1.5 times 3P plus 1.5 here as well. So now when I multiply 3P times P, 3P squared. Then 1.5 times 3 is now 4.5P. Then 1.5 times P, 1.5P. Then 1.5 times 1.5 is 2.25. Then notice we have like terms to combine. 1.5 plus 4.5 is actually now 6P. So here our answer for these 2 dimensions is 3P squared plus 6P plus 2.25. But we're not done, right? Because that was just multiplying like 2 dimensions, the length and the width. Now we also need to multiply it for volume to the 3rd dimension, which is 4P plus 1.5. So now we need to set up our last box here. But this is now 3 terms from our answer here times 2. So I have 3 by 2. So 3P squared and plus 6P plus or positive 2.25 times 4P plus 1.5. So now we're going to go through and multiply just like before. So here I've got 3P squared times 4P, 12, now P cubed. Then 6P times 4P, 24P squared. Then 2.25 times 4P is now 9P. Now bottom row, 3P squared times 1.5, 4.5P squared. Then the next 6p times 1.5, you get 9p. Then here, 2.25 times 1.5, you should get 3.375. Now combine the like terms. Here I've got 9p plus 9p, which is 18p. Then we have our p squared. 24 plus 4.5, 28.5p squared. So now we can write our final answer. So the final v of p polynomial that represents our volume is 12p cubed plus 28.5p squared, plus 18p plus 3.375. So go ahead and pause the video. Oh, sorry. This is supposed to be volume, which is again area of the base times height, which is the same as writing this as length times width times height. So go ahead and pause the video. Try this, you try on your own, and let's see what you get. Now, remember, multiplying order doesn't matter. So I'm just starting up at the top here, and I'm going to multiply x minus 4 times x minus 4. So I'm going to set up my box, and I'm going to have x minus 4 times x minus 4. So here you've got x squared, negative 4x, negative 4x again, but now positive 16. Then here, when you combine your like terms, you do get negative 8x here. So from these two dimensions, you have x squared minus 8x plus 16. Now we're going to take that dimension, those two dimensions multiplied, and multiply it to our third, 2x plus 3. So again, box, I'm going to set up my box, but now a 3 by 2, which here is x squared minus 8x plus 16 times 2x plus 3. Now I'm going to continue and fill in. So here I've got x squared times 2x, 2, but now x cubed. Negative 8x times 2x, negative 16, but x squared. Then 16 times 2x, 32x. X squared times 3, 3x squared. Negative 8x times 3, negative 24x. 16 times 3, 48. Now combining your like terms here on diagonal. So notice how I have 32x minus 24x, which is 8x. Then we do have x squared as well. Negative 16 plus 3, negative 13x squared. So now the final polynomial that represents our volume here is 2x cubed minus 13x squared plus 8x plus 48.